Okay, everybody mute. There we go. Great, guys. Okay, stand up. Make sure you got a little bit of room. Hopefully you can hear me. Tell me or ask me any questions anytime. Otherwise, we'll just start going, right? So start moving your fingers a little bit. Okay, just start moving your fingers. Yeah, just slowly, slowly, slowly. And then, kind of really stretch them in different ways, like open, up, down, thumb too, like everything. Kind of move it around. Yeah, they should feel very loose, right? Like they feel free. Maybe not at the beginning. Try to feel if there's any spots that, I don't know, if you've been squeezing your hands a lot or maybe you injured them at some point, kind of like roll the fingers, like kind of like roll them, like wiggle them and roll them. And then without any pause, continue that motion to your wrists. And just check that there's like a freedom in the wrist, like it can move any which way it can go. And I'm talking, but I want you guys to kind of make sure there's a good rhythm to your breathing. And then without pausing, again, now towards the elbows, right? So that you're kind of checking your elbows, start kind of moving your elbows. Try to, it looks very relaxed what I'm doing, but I'm very mindful of how the elbow is bending. For myself, I can feel a little bit of a different restriction on this elbow than this elbow, just from an old injury I've had. But you're kind of just focusing and you're putting all your awareness towards elbow. And shoulders, again, without pausing, kind of just go naturally from it. Yeah, the shoulders can do different things, right? They can bounce up and down, they can go back, they can go forward, but you're kind of just moving, trying to feel the state of affairs in your shoulders. Now, again, without pausing, back to your fingers. And you're moving your fingers in such a way, I don't know if you can see it there. I don't want to tense them. But I want to move them, and they should feel free to move. I don't bring them to the end of the range where they tense up, but I bring them everything in between. So it's like I'm like playing with something soft or something, yeah. But you're moving your hands like that. So there's no tension at the end. There's no tension at the end on either end, right? And like that, like that, all kinds of ways. And then again, without stopping towards the wrist, when I do these things a second time, I try to tell myself one word, and or not one word, do it better. And you realize that the second time you do something is always a little bit better than the first time. You realize that. So it's a nice kind of thing to always say that you have that extra. The same with my wrist. I'm not bringing my wrist to the end bits, but I'm just before there's tension, I stop. So I'm working my wrist in the range where there's no tension. Yeah, it feels really loose. So I'm not stopping or letting it hit terminal ends. And then the same thing with my elbows, right? I'm not waiting till they lock. I'm kind of keeping them really light. And shoulders. And again, say to yourself all the time, I can do a little bit better. I can do a little bit better. A little bit softer, a little bit more range, a little bit lighter. Good. And just shake your hands like that, just kind of vibrate them. And what you want to feel is that the muscle is moving over the bone. If not, it's okay, but it means the muscles are stuck and you need to kind of, I don't know if you can see it like my arm. It's like I'm shaking it in such a way that I don't feel the bone, but it feels like a sock. Like I'm, you know, the arms really, 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 really light, loose, no tension in the elbow, wrist, fingers, or shoulder, but it just kind of hanging. Geez, Grant, your arm looks like a rubber band. Jeepers. It's crazy. It's those long arms, man. And then slowly bend over and really allow the shoulder to hang a little bit more. Yeah, allow it to hang a little bit more. And then slowly stand up, but allow that shoulder to keep loose like that. See, now your shoulder seems maybe a little bit lower than it did before, right? So when you bend over like this and allow the shoulder to kind of hang, when you stand up, that's the place you want the shoulder. You don't want the shoulder to be like sucked up again, right? Like even when I look at myself now, my shoulder seems like it's got a greater slope than it did before. Before it was a little bit like this. Now it's like a little bit lower, okay? And that's it with your arms. So chest now, right? Start to move your chest. Yeah, circles and stuff like that. This one will be harder because there's lots of tension. So chest and then back as well, like shoulder blades. Yeah. So chest and shoulder blade area, kind of move them a little bit. In and out. Now the rib area, will kind of start to move like these, like the ribs. Yeah, it might be more challenging for you, but try your best. So you're moving this part, like the midsection, and you're really focusing on the rib. So it's like a left and right motion. And then your stomach now, stomach area. So start to kind of, much like you did with your fingers, right? You're moving the stomach kind of like everywhere. Good. Hands on your hips, but keep the hips still and start to kind of move just with your upper body, right? Keep your hips where they are, kind of like there's a like a bench or something, like you can't go, you know, not moving it back, even forward, right? So you're not moving the hips, you're moving the upper body around the hips. One more time, chest. Remember, say to yourself, do it better. Chest, a little bit more movement. You're looking for about an inch. You're not, it's not a huge movement, right? Some people focus on the sternum, that bone, and kind of keeping that bone moving. And if you just put your finger there, you'll feel how you can move it, right? In, out, or around. Yeah. Or not. And then your shoulder blades in the back. Then your ribs. Stretch them, crunch them, stretch them, crunch them, and kind of everything in between. Stomach. Remember, all kinds of ways, like all different ways. There's lots of muscles in the stomach, so they can really do some pretty incredible stuff. And then lastly, the back and waist area, but not the hips. Okay, without stopping your hips now, you start with really big circles. Your upper body should feel really light now, so it shouldn't be, you should be able to kind of, as you kind of work through the order I'm showing you, if what you just worked on was relaxed, you'll feel the difference in the next thing that you're working on. So hips, and now you can make like figure eight with the hip, or you can make circles, or small circles, or big circles, or letters. I mean, it doesn't matter to me, but as long as you're working with your hips. Remember, keep breathing all the time and shift your focus and your attention to the part that you're working on. And again, without stopping, hands on your knees and start to work with your knees. So the same motions you did with your hips, but with your knees. Yeah. You don't want to lock them, just like the wrist or the elbow. You're finding the motion, but you don't want them to reach a place where they're locked. You want to find the place where they feel loose and free. And then again, without stopping your ankles. Without stopping your toes. So kind of like grab the floor, stretch your toes a little bit, just like as much as you could do with your fingers, kind of try to work just with your toes. You won't have the same dexterity, but you try. Move all of them, the baby toe, the middle toe, the big toe, kind of pull, push. You'll find that you can't really move them as free as your fingers, that you're actually, when you move your toes, you actually tense up your foot a little bit, which is interesting. Okay, back to the hips. One more time, let's do it a little bit better, more relaxed in the hips. And then the knees. Again, pay attention to not hit the terminal end of the range, but you want the knees to be really light wherever they're working. And your ankles. And then toes. Okay, good. How do you feel? Good, loose, energized. Okay, so keep this now, keep this as a barometer now. So this is how you want to feel. Okay, like, so when I do these where I work with the joints, you release tension because lots of tension is stored up in the joints. Okay, and you're releasing tension from the joints. So now where we start to do some exercises, we want to make sure that the whatever exercise you do gives you this feeling. So if you're doing an exercise which takes away this feeling, locks up the joints, you're not doing it right. It makes sense? You do not want to do that, right? So we'll start with the basic one, right? You can get on a wall or wherever you are. So feet shoulder width apart, okay? Squat down a little bit, just enough to feel your thighs, right? So as you're holding this like kind of 1/4 squat position, you should feel your thigh muscles, but you should relax enough that you didn't tense up your knees or your hips too much. So there is a little bit of softness to the knees, and then check your feet. Your feet aren't like, the wiggle your toes, move your ankles, a little bit in your hip, a little bit your knees. So you're like, okay, I'm holding a squat, but I'm not locking my joints. That's the key. You're not locking your joints. They're still because you're still, but they're not locked because you're so tense, right? So you're looking for that softness in the legs while you're holding that position. And every once in a while, you can just check, what you want to do is hold these positions minimum a minute if you can. And then you're always checking, right? Hips, knees, toes, ankles, and you're making sure, because you don't want tension that is supposed to be making muscles stronger pulling on the joints and making and leaving stored tension when you're finished. 20 seconds. Okay, come on up. Give your legs a quick shake. So I hope everybody understood that. You're doing this exercise with a specific goal of, I want to work muscles. I don't want to burden joints. I don't want to stress a joint out, okay? Because if you stress it out, it's just going to cause problem if you've had a history of it, right? Now, everybody can do this differently, but you're going to go deeper into the squat. So if you have a problem with your knee, or most people do, then have something to hold on to, whatever it is that you want, okay? But you're going to squat down a little bit lower now, okay? Just a little bit lower. And again, some of you, it's going to be quite easy. I get it. I can see some of you right now, quite easy. Just check that your hips, your toes, your ankles, check. Like if you see my ankle, I can lift it, right? That there's this looseness to this position. I'm not just sitting here locked. And again, you hold it, try to relax as much as you can. And every once in a while, check that your hips, your back, your shoulders, that things are loose. Now, just before we go up, you're gonna nice and easy breathe in and come up from your breath. Yeah, don't come up through like tired muscles. Like your muscles may be tired, but you want to come up from relaxation. How do your legs feel? There's a difference when, I don't know if you can see it, like my leg, I feel like my muscle, it's worked. I can feel it now even from those little things I did, but my knees are not at all. My knees don't feel tight and my ankles don't feel tight, right? They actually feel quite good because you want to develop the muscles. I get that, of course. We want to have muscles for whatever reason, but we need some for sure, but not pull on the joints. We don't want to pull on those things, okay? Now you can do that a few different ways too. So stand up straight, take a step forward, okay, just a little step, and kind of lower yourself a little bit. Two different things going on here. So again, I'm going to check my legs. I'm going to check my body, right? Especially my ankles, my knees, and my hips. So it's like I'm surfing, right? Eric, is this surfing or no? It's not surfing. I didn't think so. So I'm in this position, and I want to just check that these things are still mobile with me, right? Again, good posture. And then come on up. Give your legs a quick shake. Same idea. Take a step, not too far. No, it's not a big lunge. And then lower the back leg. So there's a bend in the front, there's a bend in the back. Posture is straight. Hold the position and just kind of make sure that, you know, it's soft. Yeah. So if somebody were to kick you, you know, you're able to absorb it somehow. It's not so rigid, right? Good. And come on up. Give your legs a shake again. Good. Then just grab something for some balance, just like a little wall or a stick or just something with one hand, and start to kind of swing one of your legs. Swing it. Don't try, just like really loose, like your arm, like it's loose. You should feel relaxation in the hip, the knee, the ankle, the toe. Your whole leg feels like it's dangling. And then you can switch sides. Good. Give your legs a shake again. This time, you're gonna grab, sorry. So like you're in front of something and you're kind of going this way, like that in front of you. So the leg swings in front of you. Yeah, goes like that. I could show it another way. Seems like I can't get a good angle of it. I'll have to give you my back, but hopefully you'll understand what I mean. Yeah. And then you're switching the leg too. Good. Now, nice and straight. So just simply rise your knee up, nice and smooth. There's no hard accent. Just lift your knee up. Yeah, just lift your knee up as close to your body as you can, from as many different positions as you can. Behind you, beside you, right? In front of you, right? It can go around, right? It doesn't matter, but you're lifting your knee in different ways. You want to make sure that your knee can at least get to like your midsection, okay? And then after that, now you can start to straighten your leg. So once your knee comes up, it's like your elbow comes up and your arm folds out. Up, out. So it's like up, out. No, watch me guys. It's like that. It just comes out. The knee simply unfolds. Yeah, don't slam it out. Just let it unfold. Behind you, beside you, in front of you, in a kind of looping. It didn't matter, right? Awesome. How do the legs feel? You feel okay?
Loose. Really loose.
Good. So what I want to show you is a fundamental training practice that you should have. I would equate to what I'm showing you now is to sharpening your knife before you use it, okay? So there's no knife techniques, but how to keep a blade sharp, how to keep the principles of relax, tension-free in the joints, but yet I want strong muscles, right? But it's different. Strong muscles without being tight in the joints. I want legs that are able to move freely. I want to understand how to get rid of stored up. I want that feeling of lightness, but strength as well. You have to, this is like how I get myself ready to show up to class. These are the things that I do to prepare before or as a baseline to build more training on top. If everybody does this, it's so much easier to teach them when they come to class because you've already put in an amount of work that you need. This is the kilometers that a soccer player puts before practice. Like he's got to put that road work in. Makes sense, everybody? And it heals you. Like you feel like after I do stuff like this, I feel energized. I don't feel tired. I feel like I can do a workout. Like I feel like I can go for much longer. Make sense, guys? And the sky's the limit to this. Really, it is.
A warm up. It's a warm up, right?
What's that?
Something like a warm up before do something.
Yes, but it should be. But it's a way of working out that gives you energy. So you shouldn't feel beat up. You should feel energized. Like you should be able to do this to start your day, to end your day. It's not meant. It's foundational skills that you need to show up to training with, that you can understand deeper level, because this idea the idea of tension can't just be a word. We have to feel it. We have to feel how when I hold a push-up that I'm not feeling it in the joints, that I feel strength, but I don't feel locked. There's a difference between locked and work, right? So, and that takes time. Like if I'm in my squat, every once in a while, if I don't do this, I won't know that if the hips are loose or not, right? If I don't check my knees, and then I go lower and lower and lower, and I'm always checking, like if I can sit low and be light in my legs, right? Make sense? Right? You got so you can do as many exercises as you like, as long as you don't forget about what happens to those joints and how they can store tension, and how I want strong muscles and strong tendons, but I don't want to burden the joint. The joint is where there's a problem, right? It will be a problem eventually if you strain it too much. And in many cases, people have old injuries that burden the joints already, and then you put that on top of it, right? Great. Okay, the body now. Let's go with the body. So you might have to go down, on the ground for a second. Okay, so we're gonna start in this position, just on your knees, right? And what I want you to do is start to kind of move your shoulder blades. So not your shoulders as much, but kind of move your shoulder blades around, okay? this is fundamental in the push-up. When you're doing the push-up, is to make sure that your shoulders and your shoulder blades can move on the back. I'm sure Grant sees this all the time when he's massaging people, right? The shoulder blades are stuck to the back. And if you can't move them in this position, then it'll be very difficult to do it in a push-up, right? Good, good, awesome. So now come up on your knees, wiggle your fingers again, just quickly, just really quickly. Fingers, wrists, right? No tension. Elbows, no tension, right? Shoulders, no tension, right? Shoulder blades, right? So pay attention to those feelings. So now when you're in this push-up, everybody going to push-up, check your elbows, right? Check your shoulders, check your shoulder blades, right? Keep it light, hold the push-up again. Make sure that elbows, shoulders, every once in a while, check in, fingers, hands. Wrist is interesting. You'll feel the weight on the wrist, but try even that to move it a little bit. Awesome. Good. Now, I see this often in class, right? I see people wiggling, and I get it. At the very beginning, if you're a tense person, sometimes movement feels so good that you just can't stop wiggling. But after a while, you need to stop wiggling and just be relaxed. That's all. Just if you're relaxed, then just be relaxed. You don't need to do this to show me or show anybody else. You're just a relaxed person. So what I do when I'm holding the push-up is I hold it as still as I can. And I count in my head about every 10 or 15 seconds. I just do a double check. Okay, it's good. You know, I just do a double check. Okay, good. You know, and then I hold it again. And I'm trying to be still without feeling trapped. You know, think of, you ever seen a person who's always go, 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 go? They've equated a lot of being busy as being productive, but it's actually not that. They're just busy, right? You want to hold a push-up and be still and just be calm. It doesn't mean because that this shows that you're loose. You can be loose like this. It's just state of mind, right? And I'm just checking once in a while. I'm just doing a double check. Okay, good. I'm good. And if you can't, let's say it's too hard, then just go on your knees. Do it from your knees first, right? So you're trying to find calmness in the push-up. We're not just finding a push-up. We're trying to find calmness in the push-up. Let's try it again, okay? Ready? So get comfortable before you get up in the push-up. Get comfortable, make sure they set. Come on up, right? Check, do a quick check. Shoulders, elbows, okay? Then find stillness. Find your breathing, stay light. Okay, do a quick check with your elbows. Good, do a quick check with your shoulders. And breathe and stay still again. Check your neck a little bit, check your shoulders a little bit, elbows, and stay still. Check your elbows, check your shoulders, neck, and stay still. Good. Come around. Okay. So were you able to detect the difference between a strong muscle, you know, feeling strong, but not locking the joints? Could you feel it or was it too difficult?
I'm wondering, how do you put your knees? Your knees, like you straighten them up, or keep them loose, the knees.
I mean, you need to keep the whole structure pretty, you need to hold the push-up well. For me,
Okay.
the push-up is like a line from my head to my hips to my heels should be, I mean, as straight as I can. That doesn't mean I'm stiff, but I try not to have my back sag or my bum come up or my shoulders. You know, I try to keep like a nice light line from the heels to the head. So yeah, the knees can be a little soft, the elbows a little soft. It's much like I told you when you make a fist, right? It's like the shape of the fist, but there's no tension. It's like the shape of a push-up, but there's no tension in my whole body. I'm just holding the push-up, right? Yeah, Eric, go ahead.
So like I'm doing it and
Yeah.
I'm not like straining, but also still like, you know, when you're holding a position, your muscles start shaking a little bit. My muscles are shaking a little bit, and I take that to mean that I do have tension, right?
No, but your muscles working. So remember, try to muscles working. How do the joints feel?
Oh, they were
Can you move
soft.
the
Yeah.
joints? That's it.
Yeah.
That's
My
all that
joints were
matters.
soft.
You're guys. I want you to feel strong. I don't listen. I'm not. You can be strong, but not. It's not the strength. It's the joints that's the problem. Guys, that's where people injure. They're injuring joints, right? They're stored up tension, and then people try to add muscle on top of all this tension. It's just an injury waiting to happen, right? So part of training is to show you the difference between good and bad pain. Part of the difference is to show you the difference between tension and locked. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be locked. I want to feel strong. Think of a good handshake. It's strong, but it's not locked. It's not like there's nothing hidden. It's a real soft skill. And that way, if you find it in yourself, then tomorrow when you're training with somebody, you'll know the difference with somebody that's strong and who's locked. When you're locked, you have a big problem. It's because is what leads to more people injured. You can save a person more than mouth-to-mouth resuscitation with this. You can save the person. When you see a joint lock, it's a real red flag. Doot, 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 doot. How many football careers were ended? How many rugby careers were? How many wrestling injuries I saw because the joint was locked? You have to teach yourself to be strong, but as relaxed as you can. So you have to know the difference. That's all. You just got to know the difference, right? And that's what you're doing now. You're not just doing mindless push-ups. You're not just holding a push-up because I said so. There's work in the push-up I'm holding, but my work is watch out. You know, I have a great barometer because your wrists are under strain because of the way they are, right? So you definitely know what it feels like, right? There, right?
On that
Makes
note,
sense. Yes.
on that note, that is where I felt it. I was going to ask you this question. How do you release some of that tension or relax the wrists in a push-up?
It's just a position. It's going to be difficult. It'll be a little bit of an angle. You might have to soften the elbow, take some of the pressure off, right? Have you ever wrapped up your wrists and look how much better you can hold a push-up because they're supported. They're not at the end, right? But how do you not do that? So when I'm doing my push-up, I'll show you quickly. What a lot of people do with their push-ups is, you can see me, they put their hands too far forward, okay? They put it up around their shoulders, right? Which is no good. You need them just around your chest area. And when I come up, you see that angle? It's not here. It's not here. It's somewhere just here. And now, if I show you my hand, there's the angle of my hand. So look, I have a little bit more room. I'm not at full terminal thing. So that exercise I had you doing with rotating and moving your fingers, this is tension, this is tension. I'm in between. I know where I can move with freedom. I know where I can move with freedom and I know where I'll be locked. I know where I can move with freedom and I know where it's locked, right? And I don't want to play where it's locked. Where it's locked is a danger zone, right? I want to always, same with my shoulders. I know the places that they can move and that they'll go. So does that make sense, everybody? You got it? So awesome. Okay. Now, so you need to know that difference between strong muscles and when they've locked something, right? So here's another one we can do. Lie down on your back for me. Lie down on your back. So just touch your stomach for a little bit, right? Right, kind of massage your stomach just a little bit. Good. Now make your stomach really strong, like kind of, I guess you could bend your knees if you want, just to kind of make them more comfortable. But make your stomach, I would say, a solid 7 out of 10. So you've got some strength, right? And now with your fingers, try to push into the stomach a little bit, okay? And you should feel the muscles strong, but that they give a little bit, that there is a little bit of give. It's not a solid stomach. I'm sure you could make your stomach solid, but try to find where your stomach is strong, but the amount of tension, but that the muscles can still be moved a little bit. Yeah, you can get as low as your belt or pelvis. And then maybe go as strong as you can and just feel what that's like. And you can feel, when I make my stomach strong, I can feel how I've locked up my low back. I feel like I've locked up my back, I've locked up my hips when I go full bore. When I just relax a little bit more, my low back can touch the ground a little bit, like below me. My ribs don't feel so locked. So my stomach feels firm, but it's movable. When I go, again, full tension, I can feel like everything is just locked. You know, I can't move anything. So if I were to take an impact at this point, I could feel when I push my ribs, there's no give. You know, when I relax my stomach, there's some give in the ribs a little bit. Awesome. Good, guys. Slowly stand up. Okay. Good. How's the stomach feel? Could you feel now how if somebody were to be, you know, punching or pushing towards your stomach, you see how there's more play in the ribs, right? There's a little bit more play in the body, but it's not just wiggly. It's, you know, there's some firmness, but it's not solid. It's like a sandbag, which is really the good idea you want. Sandbag. Sandbag is a great analogy to think about when you're getting hit towards the stomach. You don't want to create a sandbag is what they use to stop. Like that's it's dense, but not a wall. It's just dense. Okay. Make sense? Good. Like that. Just like that. Nice and loose. Yeah. So pay attention. Keep your shoulders, your elbows, everything nice and loose. Okay. So this is one movement. The other movement's like this. So everything's really loose. Allow your body to rotate, like here. Allow it to rotate. So it's rotating on 2 axes, right? Around the waist and around the shoulders. Around. So without adding anything extra, start to move from your elbow. So the same movement, elbow, elbow, elbow. Everything is from the elbow, but the movements are really relaxed. The strike or the movement is coming from the body and being transferred to the elbow. It can be anywhere. One side, the other side, one side, the other side, in front, in back. It didn't matter. Much like you were doing with your knees, you were moving them close to the body. And then in that same extension, now extend your arm. So it's the same motion. The elbow comes and the arm comes. Elbow comes and the arm comes. So they kind of work together. 1, 2, 1, 2. So the movement, it's not sharp. There's no jarring of the joints. There's no hard extensions, but the arm is quite light. Elbow one way, strike the other way. Elbow, strike, elbow, fist. If you are going to make a fist, you got to make sure it's loose. Everything, there's no tension in the arms. The power from any strike comes from the body. So no need to be extra tense in the arms. Good. So your arms shouldn't feel light. They should feel heavy. Okay. If you do like, imagine 30, 40 push-ups, how heavy the arms would be. Light doesn't project or doesn't give you the feeling that you could hurt somebody with that strike. If they're too light, it feels flimsy, right? Your arms need to feel heavy, like they really weigh 10 pounds. Like you need to, if they're light, you won't believe that hit will affect the person. It's too light, right? So I'm making motions, but my arm feels very heavy. It feels heavy, all right? It doesn't feel tense, but it feels like it's heavy. And you notice how if I come with my fist, I come with my elbow. If I come with my elbow, I come with my fist. So these will always work together. Okay? And from the side, the same. Up, down, up, down, down. Awesome. So if you take the time, like I've kind of exaggerated this, but everything I showed you today, you could do within 15 minutes. You don't need to drag it out nearly as long as this, okay? I've kind of accentuated every part. But if you can spend 15 minutes doing this, it's not as a workout, as sharpening your sword, like sharpening that blade. I will guarantee you, the teacher that you go to study Systema in or anything will see that you're ready. You've put in the time to understand what they're going to teach you. Because all this stuff is fundamental. Can I detect the difference between effort and tension? Like, you know what I mean? I want to work, but I don't want to lock. Like, you have to know these. You have to know these things. You have to already put in the time. Whether it's your legs, your stomach, your shoulders, your arms. Do you see how by training like this, I'm ready to strike anybody from any position? I don't need to, like, I'm ready to protect myself all around. I don't need to kind of like, I already know the way my body, I can let my body loose, right? I'm not training myself to lock my joints. So because of that, I can move in any direction quite freely. If something surprises me, I'm able to move because I've taught myself to not lock my joints. I've seen a lot of people when they do in Systema, they relax their joints, but then they go to the gym and they lock them. And you're gonna do what you practice. That's just, it's that simple. So if you like working out, like I love working out. Okay, I'm a workout guy. I love it, but I also love Systema, and I take those principles and I apply it to everything I've ever done, everything. Okay, because there's a story I'll share with you. Somebody told me of a very good Pilates teacher.
I
in
gotta
Toronto.
run. I gotta run.
Go,
But
bye,
thank you,
bye, Eric,
Emmanuel.
bye,
Bye,
Eric.
everyone.
Good seeing you, man. Bye. Quick story, guys. There's a Pilates teacher in Toronto that what I heard was very good. I've never done Pilates in my life. It was about 3 years ago, and I attended her class, and she's wonderful, very good trainer for sure. And on the second, I did 2 classes. So I did one week, one the other week. On the third class, I showed up for her class, and she said that one of her instructors, because there was 2 classes going on at the same time, said one of her instructors called in sick, so she wasn't able to do the class. I said, oh, it's okay. It's fine. I'll just go home. She goes, no. She goes, I was wondering if I could ask you a favor, if you can teach the other class. And I looked at 2 classes of Pilates, and she says, Manny, you know your body well. You don't hold any tension. That Pilates is, I mean, anybody that's ever done it understands it's long muscles, right? It's long muscles that the strength is in the long muscle, right? And I understood that. And she goes, just do what you're doing. I was like, okay. And I actually taught the class, and it was wonderful. It applies to all high level athletics, gymnastics. You want strong muscles, but you don't want to burden the joints. And you want to put in the time before you get to class, before you get to training, that will make the most out of the training that you're doing when you're there. Does that make sense? So what I noticed this week, so I'll sum it up for you guys. This week, because the restrictions are lifting in Toronto, we were having quite a few new people coming to the club, and Karen was there last night. She saw it, right? It was about 3 or 4 new people. And you can clearly see the difference between the students that have put in the time and the new students, and the students that had just joined up but haven't been around a lot. You can clearly see when somebody takes even 15 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day just to work on some of these principles that I showed you. Moving the joints, first moving them, making sure they're relaxed, then adding effort and making sure they're relaxed. And maybe you can't, but you're trying. It'll get better because you're putting effort. And then when they come to class and they start to wrestle and they start to fight, there's a clear connection that they're able to relax joints and they're able to put in the time. Okay. Karen, did you see that too in class? Did you notice that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's an evolutionary thing, even for those of us that have more experience, right? Like I found working with new people helped me focus again on where is my own tension? Where am I locking my own joints? Like it was just so helpful.
Yeah. Remember, we want strength. I want you to have strength, but I just don't want you to be locked. I don't want you to be locked. And that was the main idea that you want to work. When you're working out, that's the only, if you just follow that principle, there's almost nothing you can't study. There's almost nothing you can't study, right? So I hope that helps, guys. Any questions? Anybody else? Miro, you're good? You're good? Yeah. Those rings that you have behind you, like the ring work, that's awesome for that stuff. You know, being able to do pull-ups and checking, right? Being able to do a pull-up and lift your legs and do other things. That's, you know, can you do the flagpole thing yet, Miro? Oh, look, he's going to do it now. No, that's not it. There's an exercise people can do where they hold it, you know, and they can move their body.
Like a flag.
I don't know where to begin. If I do that, you know, you guys got to call 911 and we'll be able to get up after that. Everybody good?
Yeah, Miro, that was classic.
That'd be classic.
Thank you so much, guys. Practice, okay? Make sure you practice every day a little bit of what I showed. Just condense it. You don't need an hour. Half hour, 15 minutes, you can do it, okay?
Been doing it. Yeah.
Have a good one, guys. Be well.
You
I'll see you next week.
Doing it, everybody. Thanks
Thank you.
Bye,
This
everybody.
weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.